Capitol Hill, White House correspondent for Politico and a contributor at CNBC, Tara Palmeri. Her latest piece is entitled, How Trump's Campaign Staffers Tried to Keep Him Off Twitter. Tara, you write how Trump's former campaign staff cracked the code in keeping Trump's Twitter habit under control. What's their game plan?
Well, they say they cracked the code. Let's be clear about that, because he did fire off a lot of inflammatory tweets when he was on the campaign as well. But they were able to get their boss to run a bit cooler than he's been in the past few weeks. We've really seen the volume high on his tweets, lashing out at the press. And a lot of that has to do about controlling his media diet and making sure that you're not just playing with the mainstream press, but also engaging with, more conservative outlets like Breitbart, Daily Caller, Washington Examiner, and making sure that more praiseworthy stories are also in his media diet, not just the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. But the thing with Trump is that he only reads what's on his desk. He's not someone who's like scouring through the blogs. He reads the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, but he's not always aware of some of the more favorable press that he's getting. And his campaign team was able to cool him down a bit by showing him what else was out there. The interesting thing is that one of my sources actually said to me he was very hesitant about telling me this formula because he knew it would make Spicer's job easier and that he would be able to control the message more easily if the president wasn't tweeting out his own rogue messages that were straying the actual, story of the day that they were trying to get out.
So the strategy is look at this pretty fluffy bear, and that's okay. Look at the happy bear, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Well, he does. He's the type of person that gets really fired up. He holds on to grudges. He feels like the media is very unfair to him. And the only reason he tweets is when he thinks that the message isn't going his way, when he thinks that his team isn't fighting back enough to put his story forward. So when you see more tweets from him, that's really a sign that he thinks the press shop isn't doing enough. So his old press shop would actually print out 2 pages of tweets and be like, this is what we're tweeting, this is what conservative amplifiers on Twitter are also tweeting, this is the message that you want out there so you don't have to tweet it.
And Tara, it's Willie. He loves, to put it mildly, Twitter. I mean, he used it throughout the campaign effectively. It's something they talk about inside the White House all the time, is taking the message directly to the people, going around the media filter. And that's what he does. But for someone who loves Twitter, how do you stop him from tweeting? I'm thinking about the Sweden 3-day story.
Oh, my Lord.
Because he was watching a TV show, he heard something, and then tweeted about it, and started a minor diplomatic incident where Sweden had to respond to it, and he talked about it at his rally as well. How do you stop that, the impulsive tweet based on something he's seen or heard?
Well, that's another thing that my sources mentioned, that he does not do well with time alone watching television. We know that he enjoys watching your show. He watches Fox News at night as well. And, if he's watching critical news, he gets fired up and he holds on to these grudges. And if there isn't someone there, his wife lives in New York. I mean, he talks to his friends on the phone at night, and he sometimes has aides around him, but he's not on the campaign trail a lot. He has a lot of time alone to stew and think about things, and his fingers get fired up and he tweets away. So, the thing is that this is about managing up. This is about how to manage your boss and show him that, you don't have to fight all the fires. We're doing it for you. And I guess a lot of people say, if I were here, this is how I would have managed it. This is a whole new team. A lot of people that were on the campaign trail with him aren't there anymore. And they were there with him longer, so they feel like they know how to keep him cool.
Tara, this is Sam Stein.
Yes.
I'm wondering, in the course of your reporting, did the aides concede that this is totally crazy? That that they're managing the President of the United States as if he was an impetuous child, spoon-feeding him good information, making him not feel alone? Do they ever acknowledge, like, step out of their zone and say, yes, we realize this is bizarre behavior, or no?
Right.
Do they not realize this? I mean, it's objectively bizarre.
No, they know that, but they know that, all of us manage our bosses in some way. This is extreme management, but yes, I mean, if your job is to keep the story focused, if your job is to get out your story, you do whatever it takes. And if you know that him tweeting is just going to continue the news cycle for more days, I mean, you do whatever it takes to cool him down. He doesn't understand the press strategy that they have in their heads. And let's be honest, they weren't always successful at this, but all they could do was show, listen, boss, You don't need to fire away. We planted this story. This is the same message that you want. We have hundreds of thousands of people repeating it. You don't need to get your hands dirty.
Wow.
We all reflect laughter.
Look at the happy bear. Over here.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's amazing.
Tara,
I think
thank you.
Sam really hit it.
Yeah. Wow.